persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. TAAM Radio is TAAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife, tomahawk, axe, and machete radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A _ all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. Coming at you live from San Bernardino National Forest with Nacho the Squatcho.
Celestis Medice, et comes fidelissime, Sancte Raphael, Quinto vie Seniori, visum restituisti, juniorem per omnes suscepti, itineris dias delixisti, et in columnem conservasti. Esto corporis et anima mea mentis, elle ignorantia tenebras, Liquique in pericolosa fulis vitae peregrinazione constante assiste, donet ad celestem patriam perditas. Amen. O celestis Medice, et comes fidelissime, Sancte Raphael, qui tobie Seniori visum restituisti, juniorem per omnes suscepti itineris dias delixisti, et in columnem conservasti. Esto corporis et anima mea mentis, elle ignorantiae tenebras, liquique in pericolosa fulis vitae peregrinatione constante assiste, donet ad celestem patriam perditas. Amen.
Hello, cheers. Welcome to TAAM Radio with Nacho the Squatcho. This is Uncle Zorks. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check.
Christian the Frog Senior. Happy holidays, you filthy animal. It's Nacho time, mother sweater. TAAM Radio is smacking down all the hoes this year, so be here and drink beer and fight all night for your right to a voluntary life. Siendo vacantia calvirdes inici. TAAM Radio is TAAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife, tomahawk, axe, and machete radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A _ all God-fearing. You're listening to TAAM 1095 Radio with your host Nacho the Squatcho coming at you live from the cedar-filled wasteland of San Bernardino, California. Ha 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 ha, you dust. Ha 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 ha, you do some bullshit. No. la. Ha 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 ha, you da sum bosh dat doin umbola kuntola sit and suck the teats of pacifistic slavery into the abysmal 4D infanticide of the West because no 2A balls. Ha 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 ha, you do some bosh dat.
Hello, you is listening to TAAM Radio. We is gonna cut to Black Scout Survival. He's gonna be telling yous about some religious stuff. So stay tuned to Black Scout Survival. He's a really good guy. I think that yous gonna like and agree with him, whether yous is religious or not, as long as y'all care about freedom and probably happen to be American. This is TAAM Radio, a Pants and Squad Show, over and out. I love you. Let me get through this hair commercial first, and I love you.
Did not exist. Most Americans have no idea this happened. Most Christians have no idea this happened. And that's exactly why the world looks the way it does today. Because if you want to understand why Western men, specifically Christian men, have become softer, weaker, more passive, and easier to control than any generation before them, you have to go back to one moment in history, the years immediately following World War II. That's when the world didn't simply reorganize politically, it reorganized spiritually. And it wasn't by accident. When World War II ended, the United States emerged with the strongest economy on earth, the most powerful military on earth, a veteran population of millions of the hardened, disciplined, mentally tough men. These were men who had faced death, seen evil, and understood sacrifice. Men who then went on to build families, worked hard, and would never tolerate any form of tyranny. To any political planner, that is the single most uncontrollable group of people imaginable. So right after the World War II, powerful networks stepped in. You have intelligence agencies, banking elites, foreign policy strategists, early global policy groups, and then media institutions. Because they realized a brutal truth. You cannot control a nation full of warrior Christian men, men who believe in something higher than the government, men who fear God more than politicians, and men who refuse to bow to corrupt authority. That kind of man is ungovernable. So instead of trying to destroy Christianity, they just simply had to rewrite it. Let's talk about the construction of the new religious identity. Right after World War II, a brand new phrase appeared in the American culture: Judeo-Christian values. This term did not exist in the founding era. It is nowhere in the Constitution. It is nowhere in early American writings.
You've consistently promoted the idea that America was built on Judeo-Christian values. However, as a devout Christian, I have difficulty accepting the term, given Judaism's rejection of Jesus.
It didn't show up until the late 1940s and late 1950s, or early 1950s. Why? Because policymakers needed a slogan, a unifying moral identity to bind together Protestant and Jewish communities' foreign policy interests, Cold War messaging, and the loyalty to the emerging post-war order. It wasn't theology, it was branding. A political invention designed to merge belief systems for a geopolitical purpose. And the timing lines up with, you guessed it, the creation of the CIA, the emergence of the Bilderberg Group, the expansion of Council on Foreign Relations, the buildup of U.S. intelligence influence in media and religion, the transformation of America into the global superpower. And then also the new nation state of our Israel, right? All this created a new engineered version of Christianity. state-friendly, compliant, pacifist, politically aligned. Not the Christianity of the apostles, not the Christianity of the founders of this country, not the Christianity of warriors, a sanitized, softened, repackaged version. Around this same time, the Schofield Reference Bible, heavily promoted by wealthy political and financial interests, reframed Scripture itself. For the first time in Christian history, ancient promises to Abraham were interpreted as applying to a modern political state, our greatest ally. Not symbolic, not spiritual, literal state alliances and obligations. This shifted Christian loyalty away from Christ, away from Scripture, local community, and spiritual conviction. It redirected it towards geopolitical loyalty, foreign policy interests, and political ideology. Again, not theology, but strategy. It was one of the most effective psychology interests and political ideology. Again, not theology, but strategy. It was one of the most effective psychological operations in modern history, and it's still going on today.
Here's 5 gift ideas for tool lovers on your list. Number 1.
I is Nacho the Squatcho. You is viewing, listening, sapient creature. We is getting back to Black Scout Survival on TAAM Radio with your host, Pastor Squatcho.
And spiritual conviction.
Please pardon the intermittent commercials. That is annoying. I'll try to get through to you as soon as possible. Back to the action. Thank y'all.
Our greatest ally. Not symbolic, not spiritual, literal state alliances and obligations. This shifted Christian line to a modern political. After the World War II, powerful networks stepped in. You have intelligence agencies, banking elites, foreign policy strategists, early global policy groups, and then media institutions. Because they realized a brutal truth. You cannot control a nation full of warrior Christian men who believe in something higher than the government, men who fear God more than politicians, and men who refuse to bow to corrupt authority. That kind of man is ungovernable. So instead, men who fear God more than politicians, and men who refuse to bow to corrupt authority. That kind of man is ungovernable. So instead of trying to destroy Christianity, they just simply had to rewrite it. Let's talk about the construction of the new religious identity. Right after World War II, a brand new phrase appeared in the American culture: Judeo-Christian values. This term did not exist in the founding era. After World War II, a brand new phrase appeared in the American culture: Judeo-Christian values. This term did not exist in the founding era. It is nowhere in the Constitution. It is nowhere in early American writings.
You've consistently promoted the idea that America was built on Judeo-Christian values. However, as a devout Christian, I have difficulty accepting the term, given Judaism's rejection of Jesus.
It didn't show up until the late 1940s and late 1950s, or early. Most Americans have no idea this happened. Most Christians have no idea this happened. And that's exactly why the world looks the way it does today. Because if you want to understand why Western men, specifically Christian men, have become softer, weaker, more passive, and easier to control than any generation before them, you have to go back to one moment in history: the years immediately following World War II. That's when the world didn't simply reorganize politically, it reorganized spiritually. And it wasn't by accident. When World War II ended, the United States emerged with the strongest economy on earth, the most powerful military on earth, a veteran population of millions of the hardened, disciplined, mentally tough men. These were men who had faced death, seen evil, and understood sacrifice. Men who then went on to build families, worked hard, and would never tolerate any form of tyranny. To any political planner, that is the single most uncontrollable group of people imaginable. So right after the World War II, powerful networks stepped in. You have intelligence agencies, banking elites, foreign policy strategists, early global policy groups, and then media institutions. Because they realized a brutal truth. You cannot control a nation full of warrior Christian men who believe in something higher than the government, men who fear God more than politicians, and men who refuse to bow to corrupt of the hardened, disciplined, mentally tough men. These were men who had faced death, seen evil, and understood sacrifice. Men who then went on to build families, worked hard, and would never tolerate any form of tyranny. To any political planner, that is the single most uncontrollable group of people imaginable and is ungovernable. So instead of trying to destroy Christianity, they just simply had to rewrite it. Let's talk about the construction of the new religious identity. Right after World War II, a brand new phrase appeared in the American culture: Judeo-Christian values.
Worry about theft of your mail and packages? Wouldn't it be great if you could view and manage your mail and packages when away on business?
Hi, young fellers, listen to TAAM Radio hosting Black Scout Survival on this there here December 12, 2025. We's listening to Black Scout Survival. You's here visiting Nacho the Squatcho. I love you.
Christian values. This term did not exist in the founding era. It is nowhere in the Constitution. It is nowhere in early American writings.
You've consistently promoted the idea that America was built on Judeo-Christian values. However, as a devout Christian, I have difficulty accepting the term, given Judaism's rejection of Jesus.
It didn't show up until the late 1940s and late 1950s, or early 1950s. Why? Because policymakers needed a slogan, a unifying moral identity to bind together Protestant and Jewish communities, foreign policy interests, Cold War messaging, and the loyalty to the emerging post-war order. It wasn't theology, it was branding. A political invention designed to merge belief systems for a geopolitical purpose. And the timing lines up with, you guessed it, the creation of the CIA, the emergence of the Bilderberg Group, the expansion of Council on Foreign Relations, the buildup of U.S. intelligence influence in media and religion, the transformation of America into the global superpower. And then also the new nation state of our Israel, right? All this created a new engineered version of Christianity. State-friendly, compliant, pacifist, politically aligned. Not the Christianity of the apostles, not the Christianity of the founders of this country.
I recently purchased the most popular glucose meter online and decided to test it with you. If you have diabetes...
All right, so apparently...
Sorry for commercial breaks. This is Nacho the Squatcho. Young's listening to TAAM Radio, hosting Black Scout Survival. He's a really cool dude.
For your own food is racist now. Yeah, we have hit that level of clown world. A South Carolina police sergeant, this is my state, so I'm going to talk about it. He went to Chick-fil-A, man, and got told to pay for his chicken sandwich, and he screamed systemic oppression. You really can't make this world. And he loses it, claims racism. Chick-fil-A apologizes, sends him 2 free gift cards like it's some kind of hostage negotiation. Now, let's pause, because it's wild to me, not because of race, but because somewhere along the line, we started thinking free food equals respect. Bro, respect is earned in the streets. not handed over the counter with freaking waffle fries, okay? This right here is why institutions rot from the inside. The moment you start expecting special treatment because of your job, your rank, your uniform, or whatever it may be, Marine like I was, you don't accept the plot. You're supposed to serve the people.
For God's sakes, that wouldn't let me pause. I don't know if you guys will laugh at my story, but this really happened. He's talking about stealing free food from restaurants or some shit. So all my friends were pranksters. I had to go along with it. They were my roommates now, and wow, among all the accolades, what can I like actually relay to you that wasn't like beyond rated R? Oh my God, what's very ironic is my fake ass friends, they dined and ditched like 3 places in one day. And I thought we were gonna pay the very last 2 or 3 or whatever happened. So I had all my stuff out, wallet, card, whatever, ID. So I thought we liked that place. I thought we were gonna pay. I'm not gonna pay for all their bill. They get up and start leaving. And I had a dream about, before the very night before that, I had a dream about being lost in the parking lot in the movie that's called The Mist. And the very next day, I was so drunk and stuff, I couldn't remember where we parked, whatever. I thought I was gonna have to blitz through security and run home. That's not funny. Funny one is, he's talking about getting free food from restaurants. Okay, this one's not funny. This one dude was weird, man. He thought he could like start some kind of little cult of minors. So this dude, he was like older, he's been on a wrestling team. So I was talking to him, I was like 13 years old. He's already a full-blown adult. He's trying to get me to like say, like, you've messed up our order. I lost the receipt. Can we get free food anyway? And somehow when this dude did it, it worked. He's trying to get me to do it. I wasn't good at it. And then like, so I'm like a latchkey kid, right? I have like no mom and dad, and fucking like I'm very lucky I don't have like Quado growing out of my chest yet and stuff from the movie Total Recall. It's just really a valley in life. And so anyways, he gets arrested for hanging out with minors, and fucking then what else happened? Oh, that ain't funny. Oh, okay. Billions of years later, I'm starting to be like halfway to a karate black belt, and I get in charge of babysitting these little dudes. I gotta take them to this fucking restaurant, and then like they were all making fun of some kid that he should go complain about his order, and it escalated. Like, dude, like Chris Farley, you ever remember Chris Farley? Oh my God, dude. So we were laughing like that, like this kid peed his pants, dude. Just go up there and be like, I'm having a bad day, man. I can't get good grades. I accidentally, that's just, yeah, anyways. It was like Chris Farley, and then they laughed so hard. They wasn't used to seeing a full-grown adult acting like a belligerent ass. I never had kids. I guess I could afford to do that. What else happened? Oh, yeah. This really happened, too. I'm sorry, I'm getting boring, but... So my fake ass friend, he took this like this nacho chip machine thing from this restaurant because they weren't paying attention. They didn't want to take our order. I tried to tell him, stop, hey dude, no, because I'm the driver and shit. Like you son of a bitch. I look at the cameras, okay, don't go that way. And so, hey, I'm just gonna pee. I'm not gonna leave a homeboy stranded. I grew up in the ghetto. I start backing out slow. He's like, ah ha ha. And chips flying everywhere, throws it in the back of the car. We almost live happily ever after. The only blood cousin I have in an 8,000 mile radius or something, he ended up doing the exact same prank with his friends 4 years later. We didn't know, unbeknownst. Like, great minds think alike. He did the exact same prank to the exact same restaurant in the exact same scenario. That's what happens when you don't want to get off your ass and work for the people who own your business. And he was like, hey, man, he sounds like my friend Juice. Hey, man, why you tell everybody my story, man? Jeopardy theme song. I was like, dude, do you realize we both ganked the same, whatever. Back to the show, dude. Fucking man. That really happened. So So for people to be like 30 years old and still having the talent to go gank free food from these franchises, that's a level of sociopathic, social psychopathy and stuff that I've already got addicted to the machine. I'm used to saying yes sir. I used to operate a machine press thing. I'm far beyond. I can't comprehend people living to their 30s and 50s still being able to try to have the balls to get free food. Oh, this happened too. We called this chick Launchpad McQuack. She was still a lot worse looking than Flatty McBacks. And she worked at this restaurant and she was giving us free food. So somewhere we're on camera showing some fat chick that was really ugly. Like, yeah, big biceps, you could do split kicks and shit. And she was actually impressed by that. We ate free for like 2 months and then we got fired. I blame that on Protestantism, because like all you have to do is believe in positivity and like you're a good person. And I mean, man, I don't know, like, you know how you get the star on the video game Mario Brothers? I don't know what kind of boundaries and obstacles that cult really helped me get far in life now. But now I looked at history, I'm like, oh wow, dude. Yeah, so
not get comped by them, okay? I don't care if you're military, cop, Marine like I was, you don't expect freebies, right? Now, you appreciate it when someone offers, obviously, but you don't expect it. And if you start demanding it, you're soft, you're entitled. You've forgotten what your job is about. You see, entitlement is the disease that eats every empire from the inside out. It doesn't matter if it's Rome, the Soviet Union, or modern America. The warriors become comfortable. The protectors start wanting perks. And when you can't even pay for your own damn chicken sandwich without rage quitting, reality, you're not protecting anyone, you're begging for validation. And, you know, whenever you're in this type of profession, anything that you carry a firearm, a weapon to defend people, put your life on the line, it should be about the bigger picture, okay? And anytime you go about expecting anything because of your service, other than you volunteered to put your life in harm's way and danger for other people, you've really lost mission focus completely. Now, talking about what's really...
It won't let me pause. So, but I have a question, Mr. Black Scout. What if Homeboy is having an episode like the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas or whatever that dude's name was?
Offensive here, it's not racism, it's not the sandwich, but the decay of professionalism. There was a time when being a cop meant stoicism. You kept your mouth shut, did your duty, and didn't broadcast your bruised ego on Facebook. This guy also wrote Chick-fil-A, demanding that the employees get retrained. Retrained for what? To give you a free chicken sandwich when you walk in there? Now, we got dudes crying into their phone because a teenager at the cash register didn't hand over free chicken. That's not racism. It's weakness, and weakness doesn't belong in a uniform. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we stop giving free junk food to law enforcement anyway. You want to help a cop? Give him a gym membership. Give him a jiu-jitsu class. Not a number 3 combo with a milkshake. Let's be real, man. You look around.
You know what makes my firm different? We focus on you. We focus on telling your story, how this accident has impacted your life, your family, and your future. And when we tell your story to the insurance companies, we tell a story that demands action. When you're more than just a case number, that's when real results happen. Results like over $1 billion.
I didn't mean to do that to you. That was some damn superfluous commercial. I was trying to deliver to you as expeditiously as possible the truth. This is not Joe the Squat Show. This is TAAM Radio. Coming at you live from San Bernardino National Forest. My Bigfoot self is coming out of the woodwork to deliver to yins. All for yins. Black Scout Survival hosted by TAAM Radio. Let's go.
There's massive problem with health amongst officers. It's really rare today that you see a police officer in shape. And again, when your job
I love
is putting your life on the line, defending other people, your physical fitness is paramount. I talk about this all the time, right? Filet. Demanding that the employees get retrained. Retrained for what? To give you a free chicken sandwich when you walk in there? Now, we got dudes crying into their phone because a teenager at the cash register didn't hand over free chicken. That's not racism. It's weakness, and weakness doesn't belong in a uniform. And maybe
this Mr. Black Scout Survival, he's one of my favorites. Also take into consideration, like for example, a lot of the gray line that would be corrections officers, they work a schedule where they have to say basically kiss goodbye to the gym. I was taught judo Jean LaBelle grappling by a really great ass fucking badass CO dude, and I don't know how he got free time. He's probably up there in seniority at his job, but like they work so many hours. One thing, hey, I would have wanted to be a CO because it's a good paycheck, but they gotta make you shave all your fur off your little grill, and you gotta look at man's butts. And I can't do a job like that. It's against my religion. I might want to have some ideas. Like I might want to start working for Chippendales and shaking what I got going on. Cause I mean, like, they're just living off the system. Just like all the girls I used to date. They have like, they get the liposuctions, they get on the OVT business, but then they go slipping on a pole for their little Pinterest, and they're making all sorts of under the table money. I was just kidding. I read Rotten Blue all the way, y'all. I wouldn't do that to you. I gotta be president of the United States. Me and Ted Nugent is running for office next year. So if stay here, don't be queer, drink a beer and shoot a deer, and make sure it's Coors Light, not Bud Light business. I love you. As we get back to Black Scout Survival. There's too many commercials. It's making me talk too much. I'm sorry about that.
Maybe, just maybe, it's time we stop giving free junk food to law enforcement anyway. You want to help a cop? Give him a gym membership. Give him a jiu-jitsu class. Not a number 3 combo with a milkshake. Let's be real, man. You look around, there's massive problem with health amongst officers. It's really rare today that you see a police officer in shape. And again, when your job is putting your life on the line, defending other people, your physical fitness is paramount. I talk about this all the time, right? And let's be real though. A lot of departments are filled with good men and women who train hard, but there are plenty, and I mean plenty, who haven't seen a treadmill since the Bush administration. You can't chase suspects when your blood type is gravy, right? But it's an epidemic, man. And maybe this entitlement is part of the reason we got an obesity crisis in uniform, because free meals make soft bodies and soft bodies make weak men. I know you've heard that kind of expression said another way, but it also applies this way as well, right? Back in the day, man.
That sounds like the animal critters is checking out my pecs. I love you, Mr. Black Scout. In California, the cops look like fucking Terminators, so they look like the dudes from Terminator 2, you know, like, so maybe Ian's from Arkansas or something like that, but in California, that's why Sasquatch, we up in here, we take away from all that noise with our Colt 45 and 2 zigzags and our glickety glick glack glocks and our fire starters, everything that Newsom, Gavin Newsom, everything that he hates. That's why me and my Sasquatch Wendigolian feature that if you learn my videos you buy for $9.99, learn how to meditate upon the nirvana, which makes you a cryptid being like me. You just reside up on here. You get away from all that business, all that noise, all that thing that Newsom Gavin hates. That's why Sasquatch is like, man, we stay up in here in the forest, y'all. We don't go down up here. I'm coming down here for you. I'm bringing y'all the truth. This is Black Scout Survival. This is TAAM Radio. This is Nacho the Scotcho. I love.
Leaders ate last. Spartans, samurais. Hell, when I was in the Marines, we did too. Leaders ate last. You let your troops eat first.
You a service business owner. You a builder. You a problem solver. You didn't get this far by accident.
The Illuminati is trying to cock block your little ass from hearing what y'all need to hear. But I say, I was a hero. You get to listen and look at me until the sit's over. And if you're a fat girl, you might kind of like that a little bit. I'll shake that thing if you give me a, what's that, buy me a coffee? Buy me a 40, a Colt 45, 2 zigzags. That's why I stay out of here. This is the longest commercial, dude. I'm not even trying to make my shit boring, guys. Look at, man. They hate us, man. Like, it's still loading. I got no option to press next. Sorry, guys. Like, I'm trying. This is the longest ass fucking... I'm gonna punish them by, hey, I'm not... whatever. So this is the Black Scout Survival, and now he's going on a tangent about how Mr. Blue Lines Matters guys need to fucking get in shape. So we're gonna stick on that business. Like, that's a given, man. Like, I live in California. The cops here look like Terminators. That seems no longer valid. But that's a really good channel, Black Scout Survival. Let's see what else we got going on here. Hey, let's listen to The Theory. When you guys want to stay on politics or go to, what's it called? Trump and Putin just shocked the world by redacted. Or the enforcers got breaking news. China targets Japanese. This all happened 1 day ago. This is mid-December 2025. And I guess we'll listen to Putin just shocked the world. That goes back and forth, you know, like the Bible says, in the end times there's gonna be wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet, because up to the very last moment, people is gonna be partying. They're gonna be marrying and giving it fiestas. They're going to be siestas. They're gonna be fiestas. They're gonna be rocking out until the last moment. That's what the Bible says. And Yuns is listening to TAAM Radio. I is trying to find Yuns things to listen to. If Yuns stay right there, we're gonna cut to my commercials while I go get a little bit of prep up. Then I gotta go back to the studio yonder here, and they're gonna put all sorts of makeup all over my biceps and stuff, so y'all have some kind of sumptuous viewing pleasure business going on. I love you. I wish to God that this stuff... Give me a second, y'all. Google is not being a friend. I'll be right back. I love you.
TAAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A _ all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station.
You only need one thing, and you can spot whether or not you're standing in the middle of a psyop. That one thing is
If the opinion that's coming out needs people to be silenced, it's a psyop. There are psychological operations in play.
Wow. So if you can't question it, if you're supposed to just go along, it's a psyop.
Yeah, and if people have to be silenced or publicly shamed because of their information, and they're not telling people the sky's falling, they're just saying basic stuff and they need to be silenced, that is a psyop.
TAAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A _ all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. KTAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A _ all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. Coming at you live from San Bernardino National Forest with Nacho the Squatcho.
Celestis Medice, et comes fidelissime, Sancte Raphael, in tobie seniori visum restituisti, juniorem per omnes suscepti itineris dias delixisti, et in columam conservasti. Esto corporis et anima mea medicis, elle ignorantiae tenebras, Iquique in periculosa fuis vitae peregrinatione constante assiste, donet a celestem patriam perditas. Amen. O celestis medice, et comes fidelissime, Sancte Raphael, qui tobie seniori visum restituisti, juniorem per omnes suscepti itineris dias delixisti, et in columam conservasti. Esto corporis et anima mea medicis, elle ignorantiae tenebras, iquique in periculosa fuis vitae peregrinatione constante assiste, donet a celestem patriam perditas. Amen.
Hello, cheers. Welcome to KTAM Radio with Nacho the Squatcho. This is Uncle Zorks. Thank you for
You're listening to KTAM 1095 Radio with your host Nacho the Squatcho coming at you live from the Seder-filled wasteland of San Bernardino, California. You've arrived amongst the few who have more balls than brains against the world and more of the same enemies that God has compared to douchebags. This is KTAM Radio. Do you copy?
Some people walk into a room and immediately get mistaken for being 10 years younger. It's not genetics, it's not skincare, it's something deeper. Habits so subtle, most never notice them. But once revealed, they change everything. Because while others are chasing creams, surgeries, or filters, these highly intelligent people don't look different. They behave different. And if you pay attention, these 5 signs reveal who they truly are. Here are 5 signs that a person is highly intelligent. 1. They spend a lot of time alone. Not because they dislike people, but because they've learned that not everyone is honest, and not every intention is pure. They protect their peace and enjoy the silence that others fear. 2. They think deeply about everything. They reflect before they speak and act, not out of hesitation, but because precision matters. Their mind explores every angle. That's not indecision, it's sensitive.
The devil feeds on unforgiveness. So
listen to this guy. Crazy what he says.
Guys,
This was the moment when a Brazilian news reporter made the most horrific discovery of his life. While reporting on the disappearance of a 13-year-old girl who had recently drowned in Brazil's Miarim River, journalist Lenildo Frazão wanted to show viewers how quickly the riverbed drops off. As the cameras rolled, he jolted in shock and said he'd felt something like an arm brush against his leg. Hours later, rescue teams recovered the girl's body in that exact spot, confirming that Frazão had unknowingly stepped on her remains during the broadcast. The girl named Raissa had drowned after being pulled under by the river's hidden holes and strong current, and the journalist says he's now traumatized for life. This was the moment when a Brazilian news reporter made the most horrific discovery of his life.
You think I changed? No. I just stopped playing nice while getting disrespected. I started treating people exactly how they treat me. Respect me.
Verizon's got a block.
The savior complex often starts at an early age. A young child who grew up in chaos, experiencing endless shouting matches, silent tension, or a parent's quiet pain. They learn to be the fixer, the one who soothes, tears, or brings calm. If they can make everyone happy, maybe things will be okay.
Work is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's not built in a single day. It's built in the small choices you make every morning and every night. Success doesn't belong to the lucky, it belongs to the disciplined. It's the hours you put in when no one sees you, the sacrifices you make when no one claps, and the consistency you keep when quitting feels easier. Comfort will never give you the life you dream of, but effort, discipline, and patience will. Keep working, because every step, no matter how small, is building the future you've been chasing. Work is building the future. It begins the moment you stop pretending you're fine. When the mask falls and you finally face the truth that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about breaking and rebuilding yourself in silence. The world won't notice your healing, but that's the beauty of it. Growth doesn't ask for attention. It demands pain, patience, and peace with who you're becoming. It begins.
Morbid Facts, Part 812. During British rule in India, one of the most horrific execution methods was blowing from a gun, tying a prisoner directly to the muzzle of a cannon and firing it straight into their body. Contemporary accounts from the 1800s describe bodies being torn apart instantly, with the head launched dozens of feet into the air and limbs flung in different directions. The technique was used most famously after the 1857 rebellion, and some museums in Pakistan and India still display wax reenactments of the horrific practice. It remains one of the most brutal documented execution methods in colonial history. Morbid fact.
The most dangerous anger.
Why did evil people like this exist? During the 1920s, there was a man named Philip D. Cupp who owned a hot air balloon business based in Miami, Florida. For years, his business was highly successful, taking customers over the ocean to sightsee. But by 1925,
Disappearances in the area had increased almost 500%, and the authorities were baffled. During the investigation, a local boater reported seeing something strange, a man falling from a hot air balloon. By the time the boater reached him, it was too late. The balloon was already heading back to shore. Authorities questioned Philip, but he claimed he hadn't given any rides that day. He suggested it must have been one of the other balloon companies, but there was a problem. Philip was the only person in the area who even owned a hot air balloon, so investigators came up with a plan. They booked a solo ride for an undercover officer named Joffrey, hoping to catch him in the act. At first, everything seemed normal. The balloon rose high above the ocean. The view was beautiful. Then Philip broke the silence. He leaned in and said, "What goes up must go down." A violent struggle broke out mid-air. From the ground, the authorities watched as the balloon shook violently, swaying back and forth until it suddenly plummeted into the sea below. Neither man survived. And later, investigators uncovered the horrifying truth. Philip D. Cupp had been responsible for over 400 disappearances in the Miami area. Why did evil people like this exist? During the 1920s, there was a man named
Whether you're hitting the gym.
If you could meet the devil. Met him twice. You've met him twice? Personally. I wasn't even a seminarian. I was discerning. I just came out of my life of sin. Middle of the day, it's like noon. I come out of the church, and there's this beautiful, handsome man, custom tailored suit. He's staring at me, and I just was like, weird. So I turned to walk towards my office, and he runs up next to me, and he grabs me by the arm, and he goes, "Let's get a drink." And I just had chills go up and down my body. I said, "Get away from me." And then I turned direction and went towards my apartment. I walked through the doors, and the doors closed behind me, and I looked out, and he was just laughing at me. Then a few years later, I was on a vacation visiting an old banker friend down in Miami. She set up a whole luncheon at this place called Nikki Beach, which really isn't appropriate for seminarians or priests. The two girls to my right, I knew both of them. They start looking at this guy across. God, look at that guy. He's so handsome. Oh, he's coming over here. And it's him. It's the one that wanted to get the drink. And he walks up and he goes, "What are you doing here? I thought you were going to be a priest. This is my territory. You shouldn't be here." When those things happen, God was letting me know, you have no place going to places like that anymore. If you could meet the devil. Met him twice. You've met him twice? Personally. I wasn't even a seminarian. I was discerning.
Why are young women attracted to older men? It goes deeper than you think. It is not because they're broken, gold diggers, or being manipulative. It is because older men activate something that younger men haven't developed yet. Young women bring youth, beauty, curiosity, softness. Older men bring experience, confidence, emotional control, and safety. That pairing has worked for thousands of years because of what? Biology and polarity. A young woman is wired to seek a man who can guide her, protect her, and elevate her. Not control her, but teach her. And this is the part that a lot of people ignore. Older men teach. They teach emotional maturity. They teach communication. They teach discipline and long-term thinking. They can show her calm leadership and what masculine reassurance actually feels like. She grows up faster beside an older man than with...
This is the true story.
Get up! Wipe the blood off your face. You're not done yet. Life hit you hard? Good. Now hit back harder. No one's coming to save you, and that's your power. You don't need saving. You need focus. You need fire. Let the pain sharpen you. Let the doubt feed you. And the next time they count you out, make sure they never forget who you are. Get up! Wipe the blood off your face. You're not done yet.
This is the
Nicholas Kunzelman and Stephanie Hart Grizel survived the Columbine shooting in 1999, only to be mysteriously murdered less than a year later. On February 13, 2000, Stephanie went to visit Nicholas while he was closing the Subway restaurant just a mile from their high school. Hours later, an off-duty employee noticed the lights still on, walked in, and saw an unknown young man leaving. Inside, he found both Columbine teens shot to death behind the counter. Nothing was stolen, so it wasn't a robbery, and the witness gave a detailed description of the suspect, but he was never found. Investigators later uncovered a drug ring operation out of that Subway, but there was no link to the teens. To this day, the killer has never been identified. Nicholas Kunzelman and Stephanie Hart Grizel survived the Columbine shooting in 1999.
Can you still help me if I
Want to influence?
Can you still help me if I don't have all my tax documents together? I'm missing a lot of things. The short answer is 100%. You don't have to have everything completely organized for us to help you with your tax issue. We know life gets messy. Lost W-2s, missing 1099s, all of these issues are more common than you think. Our team can help you pull IRS transcripts, estimate your income, track down documents, and get you back on track, even if you're missing a few puzzle pieces. You don't have to have it all figured out. That's our job. Your job is to take the first step. Click below to learn more. Can you still help me if I don't have all my tax documents together? I'm missing a lot of things. The short answer is 100%. You don't have to have everything completely organized.
Want to influence people and situations effortlessly? Here are 5 psychology tricks that actually work. 1. The power of silence. After asking a question, stay silent. People will feel compelled to fill the silence, often revealing more than they planned. 2. Mirror their body language. Subtly mimic someone's gestures to build instant rapport. It makes them feel understood and connected to you. 3rd, nod while speaking. If you nod while making a point, people are more likely to agree with you subconsciously. 4. Use their name. Addressing someone by their name makes them feel valued and respected, increasing their positive perception of you. 5. The triple yes technique. Ask 3 questions you know will get yes responses before making a request. This primes their brain to agree. Want to influence people and situations effortlessly? Here.
People got triggered by part 1.
Look at yourself and ask yourself, what is the most disturbing, whatever it is, from the
TAAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A_, all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. KTAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A_, all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station.
I recently purchased the most...
Not told the squad told you is happiness, this psychic creature. We is back
1945. General George S. Patton sat across from Supreme Commander Dwight I.
KTAM Radio past the squad told while Patton wanted to attack the Soviet in 1945. The warning that Eisenhower refused to hear. And the channel is called at the WW2 Legacy. This is KTAM Radio. I Squatcho, and I love you.
Eisenhower in a commandeered German mansion outside Frankfurt. Germany had just surrendered hours earlier. American soldiers were celebrating in the streets, but Patton wasn't celebrating. He had come to tell Eisenhower something that would end their friendship, something that would get Patton removed from command within months, something that Washington and the media would call insane.
What really led to Christopher McCandless' tragic end? Starvation may have taken his life, but could the wild berries he ate have been his undoing? Without them, could he have found a way out? His story is a haunting lesson for every adventurer, because in the wild,
the good Lord or fate magically turned the channel to a different station. What actually happened to Christopher McCandless? He's a good kid. Christopher McCandless, he was an adventurer. He was like me. He loved to go in the forest, but he was a regular sapient creature. He never meditated on the nirvana that makes you transmorphosize into a Wendigolian Sasquatch creature like me. And I'll do all my skinwalker prancing around in the forest that y'all's envying. And I can teach the yuns how to do 999. And this channel, I can't find what this channel called. Chillin' Discoveries. At Chillin' Discoveries, I think the letters are 54. At Chillin' Discoveries, the numbers say Chillin' Discoveries and the letters say 54. At Chillin' Discoveries 54. What actually happened to Christopher McCandless? And you're listening to TAAM Radio, and I love you.
even what you trust to keep you alive might be what destroys you. Welcome to Chilling Discoveries, where I deep dive into the darkest corner of the internet to uncover the grim tales from around the world. If it's eerie, mysterious, or just plain chilling, you'll find it here. Viewer discretion is advised. Born on February 12, 1968 in Inglewood, California, Christopher McCandless grew up in a turbulent household. His sister, Karine McCandless, revealed in her book, The Wild Truth, that they shared a home with 6.5 siblings and endured a difficult upbringing. Karine alleged that their parents were both physically and verbally abusive. Their father, an alcoholic, created a toxic environment, and their mother, feeding off his negative energy, inflicted her own share of abuse. The McCandless family rarely stayed in one place for too long. Their father, Walt McCandless, worked as a NASA rocket scientist, frequently relocating them across the US. Eventually, they settled in Virginia, long enough for Christopher and Karine to finish high school. In 1990, Christopher graduated from the University of Atlanta, Georgia, with a degree in anthropology and history. According to Karine, their family spent a lot of time outdoors, and from an early age, Christopher was fascinated with the world around him. He had a deep love for nature and hiking, using his outdoor adventures as a way to connect himself with the earth on a spiritual level. Hiking wasn't just a pastime for him, it was a way to ground himself. After graduating from university, Christopher felt an undeniable urge to travel. Growing up constantly on the move, town to town, state to state, shaped his perspective on life and left him restless. Staying in one place never suited him. He found beauty in its journey itself. In mid-1990, he left Virginia behind, heading west with no fixed plan, stopping in various towns and cities along the way, taking odd jobs to support himself. Despite his wandering spirit, Christopher kept in touch with his siblings, reassuring them that he was okay and promised he'd return home someday. According to Karine, his original destination was Inglewood, California, the place of his birth and his early memories. Christopher longed to reconnect with his family, though those reunions often carried a bittersweet edge. After an attempt to see them, he continued on his way, eventually landing in Carthage, South Dakota. There, he settled briefly into a familiar routine, working odd jobs, bonding with the local farmers, and finding short-term places to stay. But in April of 1992, the call of adventure grew too strong to ignore. That's when Christopher set his sights on Alaska, the final frontier. Amazingly, Christopher managed to hitchhike over 3,000 miles from Carthage, South Dakota, all the way to Fairbanks, Alaska, crossing through the vast landscapes of Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, and the Yukon in Canada. When he finally arrived, he set his sights on his most ambitious journey yet,
hiking deep into the Denali National Park. Spanning over 6 million acres of rugged Alaskan wilderness, the park offered little in the way of human contact, with most Alaskans living near large towns and cities. Despite the brutal conditions, Christopher appeared strikingly unprepared. Locals and fellow hikers recalled seeing him in Fairbanks with little more than a backpack, a far cry from what was needed to survive the Alaskan wilds. His hippie-like appearance also made him stand out, unkempt, dirty, and seemingly unfazed by the challenge ahead. On the 28th of April 1992, Christopher McCandless flagged down a passing truck on his way to Stampede Trail in the Denali National Park. Behind the wheel was Jim Gillian, an experienced Alaskan who would later recount his encounter with Christopher to the author of John Cracker. From the moment the young hitchhiker climbed into his truck, Gillian had his doubts. Christopher carried the bare essentials, a 10-pound bag of rice, a Remington semi-automatic rifle, and a pair of Wellington boots tucked into his backpack. His minimal gear, combined with his carefree attitude, left Gillian deeply concerned. So much so that he offered to drive Christopher to Anchorage to buy proper supplies, warning him about the brutal and unforgiving Alaskan wilderness, where the rate of missing persons was alarmingly high. But Christopher was confident, assuring Gillian that he had plenty of experience and that he would be just fine. At the time, Gillian had no idea who he truly was. The young man introduced himself only as
Alexander Supertramp.
In the end, the only thing Christopher accepted from him was a map and some basic food supplies such as chips and a sandwich, a small token for a journey that would soon turn into a tragic fight for survival. Gillian believed that Alexander would return to the highway within a couple of days when hunger set in. It would be months later that Gillian would learn Christopher's real name. After a grueling march, Christopher made it to an abandoned blue and white bus. Bus 142 was originally one of 3 vehicles used by the Utah Construction Company house workers upgrading the remote road between Fairbanks and the Stampede Mine in 1960 to 1961. With its engine removed, the bus was towed into place by a Caterpillar DB bulldozer and outfitted with basic amenities, including a couple of beds and a wooden burning stove. When mining operations shut down in the 1970s, the other buses were removed, but Bus 142 was left behind due to a broken rear axle. Over the years, it became a refuge for hunters, trappers, and adventurous travelers seeking shelter in the harsh Alaskan wilderness. Though the old blue and white bus was rusted and long abandoned, Chris saw it as a perfect shelter, his base camp in the wild. He wasted no time setting up his gear and making it his new home. But this bus, which would later become a notorious tourist attraction, was never meant to be his final stop. According to the diary found with his body, Christopher had bigger plans. He intended to hike through the park all the way to the Bering Sea. For just 2 months, he lived in the bus, documenting every step of his journey in his journal. On June 24, 1992, he noted that he had been consuming the roots of the Hydison alpinium plant, a decision that would later play a tragic role in his fate. Despite his growing experience in the wild, survival proved challenging. Christopher detailed how he hunted and trapped small game and even managed to take down a moose with his rifle. However, the meat spoiled within days after he failed in his efforts to preserve it. Christopher would experience profound regret as a result of this experience, expressing in a journal entry,
"I now wish I had never shot the moose. One of the greatest tragedies of my life."
Leaving him with only a dwindling supply of rice and forage plants. His weight began to drop rapidly. Isolation and hunger were taking its toll, as Christopher continued to chronicle his struggle in both words and photos. By July 3, 1992, he had made a critical decision. He packed up his belongings and left the bus behind. With the map in hand, he set off determined to find his way back to civilization, but the wilderness had changed, and so had his chances of escape. Christopher's attempt to return to civilization was cut short by an insurmountable obstacle, the Taklanica River, swollen with the late summer runoff from the Catwell Glacier. The river was now far higher and swifter than it had been when it first crossed it in April. Without a detailed topographical map, Christopher had no way of knowing that just a half-mile downstream, an abandoned hand-operated cable car would have safely carried him across. Unaware of this crucial lifeline, he had no choice but return back. Defeated, he returned to the bus and re-established his camp, his hope of escape fading with each passing day. In a desperate plea for help, Christopher posted an SOS note on the side of the bus, a haunting sign of his growing struggle for survival.
Attention possible visitors. SOS, I need your help. I am injured, near death, and too weak to hike out of here. I am all alone. This is no joke. In the name of God, please remain to save me. I am out collecting berries close by and shall return this evening. Thank you, Chris McCandless. August ?
Christopher's meagre diet of plant material and small game was nowhere near enough to sustain him. With each passing day, he grew weaker, his body wasting away. As his strength faded, so did his ability to venture further in search of food, leaving him trapped in an unforgiving cycle of hunger and isolation. On what he marked as day 107, Christopher McCandless made his last known diary entry. His words were brief but hauntingly poetic.
Beautiful blueberries.
Author John Cracker later noted that pages following his diaries, covering 108 through to 112, contained only slashes, silent markers of passing time. After day 113, the journal fell completely silent, leaving behind an eerie void that spoke louder than words ever could. Sometime during his final days, Christopher scrawled a poignant farewell.
I have had a happy life, and thank the Lord. Goodbye, and may God bless all.
It was a quiet acknowledgement of the inevitable. He'd accepted his fate and made his final peace. For months, Christopher's whereabouts remained a mystery. Locals in Fairbanks assumed he'd reached the Bering Sea and moved on, either to another Alaskan town or back to the mainland US. But on September the 6th, 1992, the grim reality finally surfaced. A group of hikers venturing through the Denali National Park stumbled upon the rusted blue and white bus Christopher had once called home. What they found inside would shock the world. As they cautiously stepped through the abandoned bus, the hikers were met with an eerie stillness. In the dim light, they saw the unmistakable outline of a figure curled up inside of a sleeping bag. A hastily written note pinned to the door gave them a glimmer of hope. Perhaps Christopher had survived and left in search of help. But that hope was quickly crushed as the overpowering stench of decay filled the air. Steeling themselves, they took a closer look, and their worst fears were confirmed. Christopher McCandless was dead, his body decomposing in the back of the rusted-out bus that had been his final refuge. Alaska State Troopers and the Denali Park staff were called to the scene to recover his remains. Soon after, Christopher's family received the devastating news, and preparations were made to bring him home to Virginia, though the boy they had once known was gone forever. Christopher's body was turned over to the local medical examiner, who concluded that he had succumbed to starvation. The autopsy report revealed a harrowing detail. At the time of his death, Christopher weighed a mere 67 pounds. In stark contrast, the average weight of a man of his age group, between 29 and 30 years old, is around 197 pounds. The drastic weight loss painted a grim picture of his final days, highlighting just how much his struggle for survival had taken its toll. In 2016, John Cracker revisited the tragic story of Christopher McCandless in an article titled An Update into the Wild. This time, he introduced a new theory about what may have truly led to Christopher's untimely death. Back in 1996, when Into the Wild was first published, Krakow suspected the Hedserium alpinium plant, commonly known as the wild potato, was to blame. However, early tests on the plant failed to detect any harmful toxins, leaving Christopher's exact cause of death a lingering mystery. Then, in 2013, a surprising new lead emerged. Ronald Hamilton, a retired bookkeeper with a keen interest in the case, published an article called The Silent Fire, ODAP, and the Death of Christopher McCandless. In it, Hamilton pointed to ODAP, a neurotoxin found in certain legumes, as a likely culprit. Lathrism, a condition caused by ODAP poisoning, attacks the nervous system, leading to a progressive muscle weakness, severe cramping, and an eventual inability to walk. Without treatment, it's a slow, relentless decline. Hamilton described the devastating effects, writing, "The condition never gets any better, it always gets worse. The signals get weaker and weaker until they simply cease altogether. The victim experiences much trouble just to stand up. Many became rapidly too weak to walk. The only thing left for them to do at that point is to crawl." Intrigued by this new theory, Krakauer teamed up with Hamilton to re-examine the wild potato seeds Christopher had consumed, this time using advanced liquid chromatography mass spectrometry testing. They uncovered something startling: traces of the deadly ODAP toxin, For Krakauer, the results provided a long-awaited closure, revealing that while starvation played a role, it was likely the toxic seed that sealed Christopher's fate in the Alaskan wilderness. Christopher's 10-pound bag of rice was never going to last long, and it only hastened his physical decline. Critics argue that his decision to venture into the Alaskan wilderness with little more than a sleeping bag, a rifle, and some rice was reckless and overconfident. Had he taken Jim Gallion's advice and properly prepared, things might have turned out differently. While starvation ultimately caused Christopher's death, Krakauer and the other pointed out that poisoning from the wild potato seeds likely sped up the inevitable. Without it, he may have had the strength to leave the bus, find help, or discover an alternate route to safety. Christopher McCandless referred to the bus in his journal as the Magic Bus, and, over time, it became a pilgrimage site for those fascinated by his story. Interest in the bus surged after the release of the 2000 film adaptation of John Cackra's book Into the Wild, drawing even more visitors to the remote location. In 2013, British documentarian David Gill visited the site and found that years of tourism had taken its toll. Visitors had fired gunshots at the bus and vandalized it, speeding up its deterioration. What was once a symbol of McCandless' journey had become a weathered relic, battered by both time and human interference. Over the years, the Bus 142 became more than just a relic of Christopher McCandless' journey. It turned into a dangerous destination for adventurers trying to retrace his steps. Tragically, 2 hikers lost their lives attempting to reach the bus. In 2010, Swiss traveller Claire Ackerman drowned while trying to cross the Talakanina River. She had tied herself to a rope spanning the rushing water, but lost her footing and couldn't be freed in time. Nearly a decade later, in 2019, Veronika Nikanor from Belarus suffered a similar fate, drowning while attempting to cross the same river. Following these tragedies, the authorities strongly advised using ropes to cross Alaskan rivers. Nikanor's husband later campaigned to raise awareness and funds for a safer crossing method, such as a bridge or a cable system. By June 2020, local and state agencies, in collaboration with the Alaskan Army National Guard, deemed the bus a public safety hazard. It had claimed lives and required multiple costly rescue missions over the years. A CH-47 Chinook helicopter was used to airlift the bus out of the remote wilderness, transporting it to Healy. Eventually, it found a new home at the Museum of the Northern University of Alaska in Fairbanks, where efforts began to restore it and create an outdoor exhibit to share its story in a safer setting. The story of Christopher McCandless and Bus 142 continues to captivate and caution adventurers around the world. His journey into the Alaskan wilderness, driven by desire for solitude and self-discovery, ultimately ended in tragedy, sparking debates about survival, preparedness, and the unforgiving power of nature. While some view his story as a cautionary tale of recklessness, others see it as an inspiring pursuit of freedom and authenticity. Regardless of perspective, his legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of preparation, respect for nature, and the delicate balance between ambition and survival. Today, with Bus 142 preserved in exhibit, the McCandless story remains alive, offering valuable lessons to those who dare to venture into the wild. And from one man's story being lost in the Alaskan wilderness to another that's lost in the woods. But who is the woman that was caught on that trail cam? Well, to see this story, you'll need to click the video that's on screen now. If you enjoyed the story, a like would go a long way. And remember to look after yourself, because you are amazing.
Because in the wild, even what you trust to keep you alive might be what destroys you.
TAAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A _ all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. KTAM Radio is KTAM 1095 MF Radio. Knife Tomahawk Axe and Machete Radio. The forgotten dimension of the second A_, all God-fearing persons willing to war for freedom. This is your beacon station. Coming at you live from San Bernardino National Forest with Nacho the Squatcho.
Celestis medice, et comes fidelissime, Sancte Raphael, qui povie seniori visum Christi Christi, juniorem per omnes suscepti, itineris dias delicisti, et in columam conservasti. Esto corporis et anima mea medicis, elle ignorantiae tenebras, Miquique in periculosa fuis vitae peregrinazione constante assiste, donate ad celestem patriam perditas. Amen. O celestis medice, et comes fidelissime, Sancte Raphael, qui povie seniori visum Christi Christi, juniorem per omnes suscepti itineris dias delicisti, et in columam conservasti. Esto corporis et anima mea medicis, elle ignorantiae tenebras, miquique in periculosa fuis vitae peregrinazione constante assiste, donate ad celestem patriam perditas. Amen.
Hello, cheers. Welcome to TAAM Radio with Nacho the Squatcho. This is Uncle Zorks. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out our other TAAM and Riddle of Steel.
Christian the Squatcho. Happy holidays, you filthy animal. It's Nacho time, mother sweater. TAAM Radio is smacking down all the hoes this year, so be here and drink beer and fight all night for your right to a volatile life. Christian the Squatcho Friday, this easy volatile. In the day, I think I'll be hard for you. In the audience, Serious. Happy holidays, you filthy animal. Christine the Squatcho Friday, this ease. Happy holidays, you filthy animal. It's not your time, mother sweater. TAAM Radio is smacking down all the hosts this year, so be here and drink beer and fight all night for your right to a volatile life.
สาวๆของพวกนั้นมันลิสนินทาTAAM Radio U ลูกของไอเวนนั่นลูกโอ้โหนิ้วแกะ40ของฉันโดนระบบกดดันก็แค่ริเก้นิว
My hoes and bitches, Yuns is a listening pocket. TAAM Radio, you son of a bitch, cut off, fuck you, dad. On my 40, I'm oppressed by the system, just like a da you're.
สาวของฉันพวกนั้นมันลิปสนินพาเททำเรดิโอยิวลูกของไอเวนนั่นอยู่โอ้โห28-40ของฉันโดนระบบกดดันก็แค่ลิเกยิว
With Nachawa, Squatcho, you son, Ovia Boish. Her one-stop shop for cryptid hunt and esoteric and heavy-ass steel a Toliko month.
Dalgwens form Lordy Vetnaster aus Squatcho a Yuson Whoever Bush Yen Stupingo for cryptid yacht is a good opinion by and swore on store of the brilliance.
Welcome to TAAM Radio with Nachawa, Squatcho, you son, Ovia Boish. Her one-stop shop for cryptid hunt and esoteric and heavy-ass steel a Toliko month. I wouldn't have obligated her to suck shit or take Lilith Slayer to pound town in the wrong-ass fuck-on hole, you godless goblin shit stain, and now shall I sacrifice you to cat.
No la habría obligado a chupar mierda ni a llevar a Lilith Slayer a golpear la ciudad en el maldito agujero del culo, duende sin Dios, mancha de mierda, y ahora debería sacrificarte al gato.
I wouldn't have obligated her to suck shit or...
No la habría obligado a chupar mierda.
I wouldn't have obligated her to suck shit or take Lilith Slayer to pound town in the wrong-ass fuck-on hole, you godless goblin shit stain, and now shall I sacrifice you to cat.
Met Nacho Kies Koeaf Show. Een oproep tot actie via de vergeten kant van de tweede aap.
You are listening to TAAM Radio with Nacho the Squatcho. A call to arms via the forgotten side of the second A+ world mysteries from the abysmal hills wherewith Behemoth will traverse.
Je luistert naar TAAM Radio.
You are listening to TAAM Radio with...
Je luistert naar TAAM Radio met Nacho Kies Koeaf Show. Een oproep tot actie via de vergeten kant van de tweede A+ wereld mysteries uit de afgrond te lijken heuvels waar Behemoth doorheen zal trekken.
You are listening to TAAM Radio with Nacho the Squatcho. A call to arms via the forgotten side of the second A+ world mysteries from the abysmal hills wherewith Behemoth will traverse.
Ha 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 ha, you dust. Ha 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 ha, you do some bullshit that no, I'm on la.
Ha 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 ha, you da some bosh dat doin umbola kuntola, sit and suck the teats of pacifistic slavery into the abysmal 4D infanticide of the West because no 2A balls.
Ha 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 ha, you do some bosh dat do umbola kuntola nang และดูดหัวนมของทาสสันติวิธีเข้าไปในการฆ่าเด็ก4 มิติอันเลวร้ายของตะวันตกเพราะไม่มีลูกบอลเกย์2 ลูก
Ha 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 ha, you da some bosh dat.
Ha 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 ha, you do some bosh dat do umbola kun.
Ha 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 ha, you da some bosh dat doin umbola kuntola, sit and suck the teats of pacifistic slavery into the abysmal 4D infanticide of the West because no 2A balls. You're listening to KTAM 1095 Radio with your host Nacho the Squatcho coming at you live from the cedar-filled wasteland of San Bernardino, California. You've arrived amongst the few who have more balls than brains against the world and more of the same enemies that God has compared to douchebags. This is KTAM Radio. Do you copy over?
Game Stirring Kiss Off Killer Tommy Kan Fascist ชมิดยิวเรตติ้งดูคีเสาดิวดูคีบนดูยายกี้ยูเอชดูกับเนิร์ส
You Bogeymeister and Kiso wie Heiler, Kami Kun Fascist Schnitt, you redding da people do da key on da Yankee da commerce.
ต้นยูโบเกมสเตอร์ริงคิสออฟคิลเลอร์คอมมี่คันแฟชชิสชักมิดยิวเรตติ้งดูคีเสาดิวดูคีบนดูยายที่ยูเอชดูกับเนิร์ส
You Bogeymeister and Kiso wie Heiler, Kami Kun Fascist Schnitt, you redding da people do da PP on da Yankee da commerce.
Under vägen där flygblodda handförsöker lät ljudingaling stoppa in kunglåta i din enda jordbruksjordlåda.
Jag ljudar undervergen das friblåda hantu shag you.
Jag i begravda under vägen.
Jag ljudar undervergen das friblåda hantu shag you. Let GG Bingaling put possum dick into your only farmland pool.
Jag i begravda under vägen där flygblodda handförsöker lät ljudingaling stoppa in kunglåta i din enda jordbruksjordlåda. Jag i begravda under vägen där flygblodda handförsöker lät ljudingaling stoppa in kunglåta i din enda jordbruksjordlåda.
Jag ljudar undervergen das friblåda hantu.
Jag i begravda under vägen där.
Jag ljudar undervergen das friblåda hantu shag you. Let GG Bingaling put possum dick into your only farmland pool. Libertarian axiomatic intrinsic innate God-given freedom in the pursuit of spilling the entrails of tyrants. This is KTAM Radio with Nacho the Squatcho. We ain't right, we ain't left, we are upward, amen. Ada you do da cheapy fee and buy da China and you da PR American ha why you da no da right USA da hun.
US ดูยิวดิวดาชิปีฟีค่าธรรมเนียมเอ็นไบดาชัยนูเอ็นยูดูคีอาร์เมริกันฮักไหวยิว US ดูไม่ดูไร US ดูแขวน
Ada you do da cheapy fee and buy da China and you
US ดูยิวดิวดาชิปีฟีค่าธรรมเนียมเอ็นไบดาชัยนูเอ็นยูดูคีอาร์เมริกันฮักไว้ยิว US ดูไม่ดูไร US ดูแขวน
Ada you do da cheapy fee and buy da China and you da PR American.
मेरे प्यारे खुदावंद यसू वो जिद्दी तौर पर मुतजाद और इंतहाई प्यारी बेवकूफ गधा और फेवना
नामी बिल्कुल कीमती कतिया जो कुछ भी मेरी जान को मार रहा है ओ मेरे हतमी जनाब
Oh my sweet Lord Jesus, that stubbornly dissonant and excruciatingly adorable stupid ass and utterly precious bitch named Fiona or whatever is fucking slaying my soul, oh my ultimate sir.
जब मैं इतना बुज़दिल हूँ कि अपनी आंखें निकाल कर खुद को आग लगा सकूं तो मैं असल में क्या करूँ मैं उसे कभी भी इस तरह नहीं मारूंगा जैसा कि सारसन बुत परस्त करते हैं
What the actual fuck am I to do when I'm too cowardice to gouge my own eyes out and light myself on fire? Oh, how would I never morate her as the Saracen heathen would.
Sorry for all blasphemy.
Purveyor of free speech as far as the godless globalist aristocracy has calibrated the system to allow to leak out. Be here to pacify time with morbid wisdom. You are listening to TAAM Radio, the purveyor of free speech as far as the godless globalist aristocracy has calibrated the system.
I love yous. I am not told Scotcho. I am fast forwarded through.
Reason why so many movies that are designed to be scary are set in the woods. Really, the woods at night. And if you go even further, most of them are like a cabin in the woods at night, right? It's because being in the woods at night as human beings checks a lot of fear boxes. You have the isolation factor. You're far away from society. That scares us. We don't want to be isolated. You feel more vulnerable that way. You know, it checks the darkness fear factor. As humans, we're mostly afraid of the dark. You don't know what's around you or what's looking at you. You know, you don't have the advantage of, city lights beaming in. You're kind of probably removed from lots of light pollution. So you're kind of like in total darkness. And I think the third fear check in the box would be the fact that it's easy to hide in the forest. You don't know what's watching you because there's trees everywhere. You have animals, predators potentially, or even predatory humans that could be hiding at every turn. Hollywood has picked up on that and made bunches of movies of, little cabin in the woods trope where somebody's isolated and scared in the woods. Because it works. It's something that we are afraid of. And so today's story starts off a lot like all the other kind of cliche cabin in the woods scary stories. But this one, it's different. This one, the heck out of me. Because as I read the account of what happened in this cabin in the woods, I imagine myself being in this guy's position and thinking about the psychological trauma that this would have on you. And I've actually had a literal cabin in the woods scary experience, and you can check it out. It's one of my top videos on my YouTube channel. It's What I Saw in My Room Still Haunts Me. You can check it out. It's my own cabin in the woods story. But having been through something like that, I was able to put myself in this guy's position, and this story terrifies me. So as you're listening to today's story, try to put yourself in this guy's position and think to yourself, what would you have done? But before we get into today's story, if this type of content appeals to you, the kind of strange, dark, and mysterious that I'm going to deliver to you in a story format, if that's kind of your thing, I would ask you to please gently obliterate the like button and then subscribe to my channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of these strange, dark, and mysterious uploads that I do every week. All right, let's get into today's story. In 2010, a 17-year-old boy is devastated to find out that his father had suddenly passed away. And it really sent shockwaves through the whole family, not only because now they're grieving the loss of their father, their husband, but because so much of their daily lives they spent together. I mean, this was a very close family, and one of the things that they liked to do as a family was they owned a cabin. It was around Mount Bachelor in Oregon, this beautiful mountain where you can go snowboarding and skiing. They had this family cabin up there where in the wintertime, this family would spend a lot of time there. They would go up there as a family, spend time there as a family. It was this wonderful retreat. And as they're trying to settle the estate of their husband, their father, they're trying to figure out what they want to do with this cabin, because all of a sudden this place that, used to bring them so much joy and was a place of very fond memories suddenly felt kind of hollow. It just would never be the same. And so they decided that they were actually going to sell this cabin. And the 17-year-old boy was just really upset about this. He was very close to his father. He had some very fond memories of going hunting and skiing and snowboarding with his dad at this cabin. And so once the cabin was actually put up for sale by this boy's mother, he asked if, before they actually sell it, could he spend some time up there, I guess paying his respects in a way to his father. But he just wanted one more opportunity to spend some time in that cabin. And his mom said, go for it, take as many days as you want, go up and hang out in the cabin. But when you come back, we are going to sell the place. So his father had actually willed to his son his vehicle. And so the 17-year-old boy loads up his father's car. He goes out and he buys some snacks and drinks, heads up to the cabin in Oregon with the family dog whose name was Midnight. And his plan was just to go up to this cabin and basically try to enjoy being in this space one last time. Don't think about it as this place that now has no meaning because his father had died, but rather a place that he wanted one last positive memory before it was forever gone from their family. And so he gets up there, makes his way to the cabin, and he settles in for what turned out to be an abbreviated stay at the cabin. So in order to understand this story, we need to talk a little bit about the layout of the cabin itself. The cabin was 2 stories, and it was built into a mountain, Mount Bachelor in Oregon. And so the back half of the cabin was kind of settled into the mountain. So there were no windows, save a little sliver of window that fed into the bathroom, actually, in the back of the cabin. The front of the cabin was this beautiful, double-decker cabin with, windows on the second floor that fed into the master bedroom. On the second floor, there was a walk-out balcony that kind of jutted out a few feet from the second deck. The first floor, you could see in through all these beautiful windows. There was a sitting area, like a living room and a TV, and then a small kitchen as well. So the cabin was built in an area that was heavily forested. So they had to clear out, a bunch of trees to even build this cabin when the family had this built years and years ago. And so they really only cleared away the front section of trees so that there was a clear shot to the house, but the sides and the back were very heavily forested with these huge tall pine trees. And they basically had this little tiny driveway that fed in through all the trees, and you had this one kind of clearing in front of the cabin. So if you were on the second floor of the cabin, where there's the master bedroom, there's a bed up there, and you were looking out that window, you'd be looking over the balcony out into a clearing, basically. But there's a tree line, 100 yards past that clearing that's very dense. And there's actually a couple of trees, fairly prominent trees, that are sitting in front of the cabin that they did not cut down. One of which, for the story, we'll call it the sitting tree. Parallel to the ground, about 20 feet up, was this beautiful branch that looked perfect for a whole bunch of people sitting on it. But it was 20 feet above the ground, and there wasn't really any way to climb up to it, and no one was trying to climb this tree. But there's this tree that basically has a seat, if you will. Like the branch is like a seat that is looking directly into the cabin. And that's going to matter later in the story. So clearing in front of the cabin with this one kind of sitting tree, and then a very dense forest 360 degrees beyond, that one clearing. So when the 17-year-old gets to the cabin, he goes inside, he puts his drinks in the fridge, puts his snacks on the counter, he hooks up his PlayStation to the TV, and he's just like having a great time. His dog Midnight is roaming around, enjoying being at the cabin. And, he's having a great time. And over the course of the first 2 days that he was there, it was everything he hoped it would be. It was like he was bonding with his father one last time. It was a peaceful time that he was there. He was happy to be there. And he was just enjoying himself, eating snacks and playing video games for a couple of days. He actually left a couple times to go snowboarding too. But on the third day that he was there, things started to get pretty weird. So on the third day when he got up, it had snowed dramatically the night before. A couple of feet of snow on the ground, still snowing pretty heavily. And he's like, I just don't feel like brushing off my car and trying to go to the store or go to the slopes to go snowboarding. I'm just going to basically be shut in for the day. And he was excited about it. He's like, great, me and my dog Midnight can bomb around the inside and play some more video games and eat some more snacks and do whatever. Midday that day, Midnight needed to pee, so he went outside with Midnight and let Midnight run around and go to the bathroom. And while he's out there with his dog, he notices there are some footprints in the snow that looked relatively fresh. And this is the first time that he's left his cabin that day, so they aren't his. And his neighbors were pretty far away, and he figured that they were older, that they were probably not going to be trekking around the woods. So he's thinking to himself, I wonder who made these footprints. And he's looking at them, and they started in the woods. So the woods are not that far away from where he is. He's in a relatively small clearing just in front of his cabin. But he can tell these fresh footprints have come out of the woods. And they're basically right in front of this clearing. And he notices that they bank around and go to the back of his cabin and kind of go up onto the mountain. And he kind of just starts walking and following the footprints a bit, and they kind of disappear up onto the mountain behind his cabin. And he's not overly concerned or anything, but he definitely takes note that more than likely somebody was walking around his cabin. Maybe it was someone who got lost, maybe it was a neighbor. I mean, he's rationalizing it. He's thinking, you know what? It can't have been anything too serious. Obviously, they didn't knock on my door. They didn't need anything. And so he kind of writes it off. So that night, he stays up late playing video games, and his dog is sleeping next to his chair. And at some point, he's tired and he wants to go to bed. So he draws all the curtains, so blackout curtains around the downstairs, shuts all the blinds, and locks all the windows, all the doors, and heads upstairs to the lofted second floor where the master bedroom is. He, gets in bed, turns off all the lights, everything's locked, everything's shut. The dog climbs into bed, and the dog would sleep up near his head. And suddenly the dog jumps up, still on the bed, and looks at the stairs leading downstairs to the front door. And its ears are perked up like it's heard something. And it wasn't unusual for the dog to be a little jumpy, maybe it heard something. He wasn't overtly concerned. But when Midnight, the dog, jumps off the bed and sprints downstairs after having this sudden alertness, and he's listening, now he is a little bit worried. He's thinking, well, I saw footsteps yesterday walking around my cabin, and now it's the middle of the night, and my dog is downstairs acting like it's heard something, and he hears the dog, Midnight, pacing around the downstairs, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Every indication is the dog wants to go outside. That's the noises that he's picking up that signal from the dog. And so finally, even though he's feeling a little bit unnerved by this, he decides to go down and see what Midnight wants. And so Midnight is by the door, ears perked up, very eager to go outside. It's pacing, and he thinks, you know what, she just needs to go to the bathroom. And so he opens the door with Midnight and he goes outside and he expects his dog to pee. But Midnight doesn't need to pee. Midnight starts kind of stalking around the corner and looking out across the clearing towards the sitting tree in that direction.
Hello viewers, I think you'll like this break. We're gonna go right back to the story. I wanted to show you guys this tree. Most likely before we were ever born, a lightning bolt hit this tree and it should have killed it. And it overcome and it grew two stems or whatever. This is I would have caught the basin of southern San Bernardino National Forest. The weather's getting better, so it's more tolerable to be out here. And this was just a friendly reminder that you guys, when it's starting to get dusk like this, you want to do a gear check. Okay, so I'm starting to look around my surroundings. I'm starting to look at my camp. That there's no ooglies, there's no crazy people. There's no crazy people lurking around your shit. Okay, I'm not used to this rig. I don't usually carry my little sword. I have a K-bar kukri. I like the regular kukri far more than the combat kukri. The combat kukri, in my opinion, is a very, very cheap tracker knife. I like tracker knives, but they don't serve me. I could get into it. Sorry to get ahead. I'm carrying a bayonet, but it really is just carrying my keys because my muscle memory sucks for deploying this right away. I had a Kydex pig sticker dagger that I basically sold because I rather just trek out here with a tomahawk or a kukri, yada yada. That's just me. But hi, how you guys doing? I'm Nacho. We're gonna go back to listening to Mr. Ballin on TAAM Radio, and thanks you guys. Oh, real quick, So check this out. Maybe you want to see my gear check, okay? Some dudes mad dog me. They think I have Hot Wheels or something like that. I don't know if you grew up in the 80s, Hot Wheels. I got fucking red so I could see in the dark, you dipshit. I get mad dogged at the grocery store by dudes that don't think I'm like, they probably think I'm Antifa or something like that. Good, I got my headlamp, that's good enough. Pretty sure I have extra batteries. Okay, I'm not walking anywhere. I don't go anywhere where I might get lost if I don't have water purification and a ferro rod. I have 3 extra batteries, that's it. Traveling really, really light. This is really bulky shit for traveling light. I could have just probably put all that in my pocket. But to me, it's more organized, technically. But if I ghetto style carry these kukris in my pants, sometimes it alleviates me from needing a belt so bad. I don't know, that's just me. But this is very slow to deploy. This kukri, honestly, when I'm trekking out and shit, I might unsnap 2 of them and only 1 is dangling now. So I kind of have, and I'm mindful of it on my person. Kind of like how gangsters grab their crotch. I just have my hand on my kukri, so at moment's notice I could grab this, peel this up. This is the K-Bar kukri. It's the ergonomics. The design, dude. This would be the best kukri ever made. I can explain why. The only thing I don't like about it is I trust defending my life with it against feral humans, maybe coyotes, if worse came to worse. But I don't trust against wild hogs so much, which I'm frequently around. Maybe that might change. So anyways, this is K-Bar Kukri. They should have made this like the Ontario Knife Company Kukri, which went extinct. All these American businesses are going extinct, I guess, or they're making their stuff in Taiwan. Like K-Bar. I don't know every K-Bar is like that. I don't think so. Probably not the Becker series. You can double sharpen this, like a false edge. You can sharpen it so much. This design is probably, I want to say there's no better kukri. There might be. I haven't found a kukri, at least on the main market, you can easily find, that has piercing abilities better than this one. What was I going to say? But they should have made it like the Ontario SP50 or Ontario SP53, which has been discontinued, which are I want to say the best knife in the world for the price, guys. It just doesn't really have, if you're into skull crushers or something that can pop open coconuts or squash. 5-0 just went by and I'm like waving this, like watching me do this, like flatten coconuts or pop walnuts or something. It didn't have that going on for it really, but what this needs is a thicker spine and what's called a higher bevel. And that would be like your saber grinds or full flat grinds. Then this weapon right here, if you had to defend against a very deadly animal like this, you have more of a chance to, if you hit it in the neck, that it can hit the spinal cord. I read all about that. That's how Gurkha warriors. Defended themselves against, hunted tigers with only a kukri. This has a very low bevel, which you would liken it if it was a gun. It would be like the most like flattest hollow point that can't pierce, but makes a huge crater kind of, which is good in a different way, that it wouldn't get stuck in something. But I really think that that's infinitesimal. I really think that with something like a wild pig, what's like a feral hog, very, very determined, rabies infected feral crackhead or whatever, I don't trust a low bevel anymore, because unless it's a thruster, like this bayonet, it's a shitty slicer. It has a very thickness. It has a high thickness behind the edge, and it doesn't make it slicey, but it makes it a stronger stabbing or prying tool and stuff. So you gotta pick your poison, man. So I like high bevels, choppers. because they take chunks out. They have a lot of bite in the wood. Honestly, I think in the knife community that these low bevels, they got popular because everybody was trying to search for the strongest knife. But my theory is, if you have a knife that can't even bite if it can only bite into a certain amount of wood, then that wood wasn't going to break the knife anyway. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. All I know is I have a Work Tough gear that has SK85, which is even tougher than 1095, I hear, but that has even less edge retention, guys. This is basically a survival knife channel, guys, so sorry if this is boring you, but it's the coup de grace. The only thing you need in life to survive, honestly, is a reliable chopping knife that can slice tinder sticks. A single wall metallic object that can boil water, and hopefully a ways to get food that's a different story, in a ferro rod. Your base essentials in life, it's not gold, it's oxygen, it's water, it's God's mercy, it's a ferro rod, something to boil water in, and a large thick knife. We've strayed along that we think paper, now we rely on paper and not being able to whoop someone's ass when they deserve it because we have to just be social cucks and lose our Second Amendment. So anyways, I'm done. Yeah, this K-bar doesn't have the accoutrements, the thicker spine, a higher grind. It doesn't have it. And so I'm getting, hopefully, the SC Espat Kukri. And then that will probably be, unfortunately, I want to start getting in the Condor and show you guys Condor knives that might be coming along in so many months, but I have to slow down. Ironically, this Joe X inspired me to take this channel this way. I was doing nothing in life but trying to hold on to things that are already gone, like, the 90s or whatever. And I saw this Tom Brown Jr. commercial about his knife. And I was like, I always wanted to get into wilderness, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of already done that, a long story. Not on the levels of some badass survivalist, but may as well. All ghetto fabulous like. And so there I was. And then the rabbit hole took me to Joe X. And Joe X is one of the most exciting knife testers there is. He is the most exciting knife testers. I can name some other ones that are pretty good too, as in they're informative. I'm an informative one. I will get into, like, Joe X never bashed the shit out of this particular tool, but he did test the cutlass. The cutlass should be exactly like this knife, but a different shape, and it survived his test. I torture tested this. I have a pretty popular video with probably at least 400 views, a short about this, and I can tell you all about it. I tried to break this, not a different knife, the same brand, different exact knife. I tried to break it on purpose. It survived. Joe X is even more fit and strong than me, so he could probably break it. I would probably give this to him if I knew how. If Joe X, you ever see this, I don't become a member to your channel and all that, because when I click on it, it does dumb shit, dude. It doesn't really, I don't really know this PayPal shit. I've tried to, what's that called? Do all that shit to be opinionated and send live chats, my opinionated comments in the past. And either it's too stupid and boomer to figure it out, or they blocked me and didn't want my opinion. I don't know. But I have tried. I have tried to buy your merch and everything. I'm your fanboy. I don't care. But yeah, so I'm getting the Espat Kukri. As of right now, this is mid-December 2025, yo. And this is a knife, tomahawk, axe, and machete radio, TAAM radio. So I have to say all this. It seems like SE Hungless. Looks like SE Hungless went discontinued. What the fuck? I have some speculations, guys, of why SE Hungless went out of business. Everybody was complaining about them and Tops. They never put 90-degree spines that could strike ferro rod on their blades, and they never have choils. I wanted to get the SE Hungless. It's a really well-balanced knife What made me slow down on never getting SE Hungless was Three River Blades. Three River Blades. I like that channel. I recommend that channel. He likes forward heavy choppers, and so do I. By the way, guys, as a martial artist, I'm not saying I'm a Billy Badass. It's kind of my job to try to relay you. Like Joe Rogan's never gotten a knife fight, but if he talks about it, he'll get all the credence because he's famous. I have one of the best spinning back kicks in the world too, like Joe Rogan. So I could show you that I have videos on that. So I guess my advice matters too somewhat. I saw a mountain lion attack recently on a short video clip, and so far what really looks commensurate to do that job is ideally having a gauntlet on your forearm, your opposite from your, whatever. If you're right-handed, it'll be your left. If you're left-handed, it'll be your right. Okay, my phone is switched. I gotta get going. It's getting dark. Some kind of leather and Kevlar or spiked fucking medieval style heavy metal leather gauntlet on your forearm to shove into the cat's mouth. Try not to hit your own arm as you deploy the Condor K-Tac Kukri from your leg. I've made an apparatus where I used to hold the wild pig hunter from Tops on my leg here, and you have to, my right shoulder's kind of messed up to give myself a Kimura to excavate or deploy or whatever the fucking knife of Tops, which I love Tops, but the K-Tac Kukri, you snap that sumbitch off and it comes forward. So you would shove your forearm that has the gauntlet, or hopefully you had time, your backpack, some kind of shield. In the video, the guy was using his mountain bike handlebars to put between him and the cat's throat. Okay? And you would have to try not to remember to hit your arm. And if the cat's attacking your arm and you can hold your arm up, you have open, you're gonna have to hit its guts. It's gonna be clawing at you, trying to claw at your face and fucking eating your forearm and shit, right? And you have to remember not to hit your own arm and hopefully be able to balance the cat. And you're gonna have to start hacking at its guts with the fucking the K-Tac Kukri. And people would say, you know, when you do a cross move, a lot of times your opposite arm is pulling, so that you would get your arm out of the way anyways to strike the cat. Here's the problem. How heavy is that cat? Is it still attached to your arm, and can you swing it? You're going to be not even hitting the cat. It's going to be swinging on your arm if you're that strong. So you're going to have to remember to not hit your own arm, slice your own arm. And with this K-bar thing, it is very pointy. You can't start sticking it in its eyes. So I was at a party one day, and so this dude was showing me some underground fight video where this guy was getting his balls just like ripped off, dude, in a fight, and he was screaming. And they're like, what would you do in your that situation? I was like, one, thank God I'm not in this situation. I was like, he could gouge his eyes. His hands are out of the way of his face. So whatever. Anyways, everybody got quiet and shit. God willing, if we're ever in altercations like that, we can remember, but just FYI. So look out, follow, subscribe so I can keep going live. I'm going to show you guys that SE Kukri and tell you how I like it. If that SE Kukri has the same bite, as that same kind of ergonomically flat grinds and all that, I think the Work Tough Gear Warhammer that I keep showing is a high saber, whatever. It bites. That's a great knife. Honestly, the Work Tough Gear, I could have stopped collecting at that. I couldn't find a leather sheath for it. I explained why I don't like its sheath. I like it, I don't. The pros and cons, any freaking hoolie. Yeah, so guys, I have to be a douchebag and ask you to follow and subscribe so I can keep going live. I also do adventure, like exploration. But people have been calling like forest rangers and sheriffs thinking that I'm trespassing. I live in Southern California where all the people I know that go hunting or they're used to outdoorsy people like us, they're from different states. They're not really from here. If you're some tactical Elmer Fudd looking MF, you'll get start getting bad customer service at Walmart, dude. It's getting pretty douchebag everywhere, dude. And in this area of San Bernardino County National Forest, there is some really good folks still, but they're kind of a little bit older, like, they're kind of a little bit older feelers. And they're really kind, and they might say howdy. Unless you look ghetto like me half the time, then they're Karens. I still love yawns, but nah, it's better here. But this is supposed to be a countryside, a retirement area. California is so expensive that all the douchebags are finding cheaper housing out here, so it's becoming douchey. I gotta get going, guys. It's getting too dark, and my head, in my animalistic form of style, my headlamp don't really fit on this. So you can't see me transmorphiasize back into my human form style because you'll turn to a pillar of salt or stone. So I love you. I love you. I gotta get going, guys. So fucking A, keep on rocking in the free world, and I have to be a douche and ask you to subscribe now. Love you. I love you. I love